Hi, I'm the Busy Bee Mom. Today we're going to be making a couple of pillows. I've got two styles for you. I'm going to show you how to make, and they're basically the same thing except this one's got the ruffle in the middle and this one's got the ruffles on the sides. And on the back they simply have an area that you open and then your pillow is inside of there. So we're going to start the video with just a list of all the pieces you need to cut for both pillows, and then I'll show you how to do it. Okay, once you have all your pieces cut out, then next thing I want you to do, now depends on your fabric. If your fabric unravels really easily, I want you to go around and do a zigzag stitch around all your pieces. You could also, instead of a zigzag stitch, do a serging stitch, and I actually started to serge mine. This one serged, but then my serger decided to act really strange, so I finished zigzagging. But anyway, if your fabric unravels really bad, go ahead and do that around all your raw edges, especially on these long pieces, because you're going to be gathering them. Okay, after you have your zigzag stitch, then you run your gathering stitches. You can see right here I have 2 lines of gathering stitches. Now, when I figured our measuring increments, I figured 1/2 inch seam allowance, which is going to be right in between there. So I sewed one line of gathering stitches at 3/8 and the other gathering stitch at 5/8, so my seam is going to go right in the middle. Now I do that on my super long pieces. You should have had a couple pieces you cut out that were 7 inches wide and 40 some long. And you want to do that on both sides of your long pieces. Run that gathering stitch. Now your gathering stitch on your machine is the biggest width. So on my machine it's a 4, 2 being a normal stitch. So do that to your really long pieces. And then I also want you to mark, maybe like with a little pencil mark or pen mark along the edge. I want you to fold it in half and mark the halfway point on both ends and mark a fourth. So fold it in fourths. So here's half, here's fourths, and then I want to mark on both pieces. Basically on this long strip I want to have the halfway point marked and my fourths marked. So 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. Now you could measure it, or folding in half I just think is so much quicker. Alright, one more thing to do right now is your back pieces. Now you should have a piece that's 18 by 19. What I want you to do is to take your side that's 18 inches, so if it's 18 inches this way, I want you to turn this over, press it, and turn it over, and press it, and then stitch all along one side. What we're going to be doing is on the back, it's just going to be, we're going to have 2 pieces that overlap, and that way to get the pillow form in and out, you just kind of open up that overlap section. So this piece, I've already done that on my side that's 18 inches. See, I've folded it over, pressed it, and I've got a nice row of stitching along that edge. And you also do that on one of your 7-inch pieces. You should have a bunch of these strips. Same thing on one of those. Just turn it over twice and stitch it. And then you take the 2 of them and you're going to lay them out and overlap them. And your goal is to have them a total of 19 inches wide. So I got a table here and I've got a thing right on it. So I'm going to get it to 19 inches. And I'm going to pin it right here to hold it at 19. And I want to do that for both edges. And I'm going to stitch along here just to hold it together, sewing it at about, probably don't want to do 1/2 inch, probably want to do more like 3/8. So that's that end. And I'm going to go to my other end and do the same thing. Make sure that it's 19. Get the whole thing nice and flat. There. Now, this is going to end up being the back of your pillow, so in order to put your new pillow in, you just simply go like this and slip it in, and then when you're done, it should lay flat. And that's the easiest way to make a cover that you can take off and wash. Alright, so I've got a couple things for you to do. You need to do your gathering stitches, you need to zigzag your raw edges, and you need to turn these over. I'm going to go ahead and mark my pieces, and then I'll show you how to start gathering. Oh, and go sew this. Okay, I've got my two pieces sewn together. When you're all done with that, you should have a nice 19-inch square piece. You see I have my overlap here. Now when I sewed them together, I sewed all the way from the start of one to the other. So completely across there using about a 3/8 seam allowance. When you get done, you should have a 19-inch square, and that's going to make the back of your pillow. Now, gathering on the front, you know how I told you to mark your like 1/4 every fourth on this? Also do that with one of your little pieces. So, I don't know, within my selvage I have a 1/4, half, and a 1/4 mark there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my big piece. I gotta find the one I marked. I knew I marked this, but I couldn't see the mark, so I went ahead and just put pins. With the right sides together, I want to match up my half way and pin it, and then I want to match up these two and pin them, and these two and pin them, and I want to match up my ends, pin that, and my other end. Now I'm ready to start gathering. Basically what this helps me do, I now have the same amount to be gathered in each area. So the amount of fabric gathered here, here, here is the same as here. It's all going to be equally gathered. Looks kind of funny, doesn't it? Alright, to start gathering, I want to come down to my end. I want to grab the two threads that are on this side, getting rid of all other threads, just the two that are laying on the top of this side, and I want to pull. And I have to very carefully ease the gathering down. And I want to do this all the way till I get to the middle. And then I'll come at it from the other end. So just keep working it until this is the same as this. Now I've got to get this past here and actually all the way down to this second bump. So this is going to take a while. So I think I might kick back on the couch and do some tugging. And you got to be gentle with it because you can break your threads if you're too harsh with it. So just gently work it and it'll go past that pin. You just have to push it. Alright, I'll be back later. So you're going to do this on one of your pillows. You're going to do it on both sides of a piece. And then on the other pillow you're going to put one of these on both sides. So that's how that works. Okay, I wanted to show you something real quick. First of all, you're going to have to take that pin out. For some reason I was thinking I could leave it in, but you're going to have to take it out. And then as soon as you get it gathered so that when you pull on it, they're about the same size, then you're going to take the two threads that you were pulling on and you're going to tie a knot right there. Get a little bit tighter. I'm just going to loop them both around each other. And knot it. Put a knot right there at the end. Okay, and that's going to hold my gather so now it can't release anymore. Then I want to evenly spread them out. I don't want to get too close to the edge though. Think about 1/2 inch seam allowance and you want to start your gathering from there. So just kind of spread it out over the whole area. Actually I should be gathering this edge too before I spread it out, but you get the point. So then when you have it all even, and if it's not laying flat, sometimes if you give it a good up and down tug like this, it'll lay a little bit flatter. It can get kind of, I don't know how to describe it. So give it a good tug top to bottom, and sometimes that helps. And then you can find your marks that you made and line those up if you're concerned about having it distribute equally. And then put lots of pins in it. So this one I got my fullness distributed all equally. I've got lots of pins in it. And then, of course, right sides together. Then I'm going to sew on regular sewing stitch. I'm going to sew right down the middle of my other 2 stitches. Oops, I'm too high. I'm going to sew right down the middle of my other 2 stitches at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So now for the one pillow, I'm going to have gathers on both sides of a strip, so I've got to put another row of gathers here. And then on my other pillow, I've got just gathers here, so I'm going to put another straight piece here. So that's about it. Okay, things are coming right along. This is one of my tops. I got my ruffled sewed to the 2 flat pieces. So now there's the ruffle in the middle, or my gathering in the middle. Now I can take one of these pieces. Remember before we took these 2 pieces and sewed them together? Well, that's my back, so I'm going to put these 2 right sides together. And if I did all my measuring correctly, they should be the same size. It's a little easier to see this way. And then I'm going to pin them. You know, and if they're not quite the same, don't worry about it. Just kind of take the average. I see them a little narrow. Pin that all the way around, and then you can just sew all the way around, and this pillow is done. Now for your second pillow, I've got it gathered. The 2 rows are gathered with the strip in the middle, and then you have to gather it onto your back piece. So this is my back piece, and I've got one side gathered on, and I'm going to sew along there. And I still have to gather this side and sew it on this edge, and then I can sew along these sides. And then this one will be done too. Okay, this one's all done. I've got it turned right side out, and it's looking pretty good. This is my other one that has the flat through the middle. I've sewn it all the way around. Couple fine details: clip your corners. That way when you flip it right side out, you'll get more of a pokey corner. I also reinforced my stitching in the corner because my thread unravels so bad. And then, okay, clip corners, and then you need to pull your gathering stitch, because you could see, if you looked really close, there's a line of gathering stitches along here and along here, so you want to pull that out. And I like to work from this side, and just, sometimes if it's a if it's a thin fabric, you can just pull it right out. Other times you really have to pick at it. I really had to pick at it with this fabric. So, moment of truth, my favorite part, when you get to turn it right side out. Let's see how it turned out. Got some threads that need clipping, but I think it's going to look okay. There's one more thing I might want to do for this project, and that is, I noticed when I had this on my pillow form, this is kind of leaning down quite a bit, so I'm getting this kind of weird poof right here because it's not staying. So I might put something there to hold it. You could do a piece of Velcro, a snap. I might use like a hook and an eye. One of these kind of a things. So just see how it looks, see how you like it. If that bothers you that it's not holding itself shut there, you could put some type of closure. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this Busy Bee project. If you have any questions, be sure and post them and let me know. You have a great day.